trust. Like,
when I first started watching the show, I saw that you had a Tammy Faye Baker tattoo, and I was like, oh, this person, right? And I loved your shock value. But when you take things that are not yours, as Annika has already said, right, we're not really interested in your process and how you feel about people telling you not to use the word. I mean, frankly, that's really telling of how you feel about race relations, that your main kind of panic about this is that someone is telling you what words to use. What you should feel about it is that segments of your community are hurt, that you've hurt people, and that there's nothing shocking coming out of this. You're not shifting any kind of conversations about race. You're not doing anything besides hurting people. I don't think, from what I've heard from you today, that you're going to shift your opinion about that, and I'm really not concerned if you do as an individual. I'm never going to see you again in my life. Or men like you, for instance. But what we care about is that as a role model, you're not using that language, and you've already said that. You've already said that you're willing to apologize and you're not going to use it. And I hope you know, too, that it's not that singular word, but it's also things like Nazi uniforms, hailing Hitler, Confederate flag swimsuits. It's all of those things that tap into...
But do you see how we're using them in terms of costumes, in terms of doing shows on propaganda?
Yeah. We understand all that, but what you're doing, but you just admitted to yourself, or to us, that when you go to these shows, you're mostly talking to white people, because you said like you very rarely see women of color, and I guess like it's possible that most of your audience is men of color. I doubt it. So you're not being transgressive. You're going to white people and you're saying, hey, white people, look at us being racist together. Isn't this awesome? Like, that's all you're doing.
That's not what it's saying, because I don't think...
Girl, no. Like, okay, that's not what you're saying. Okay, you're right. You're not going in there, and I believe you. I don't think you're a racist. I don't think that you're going in there to say, like, hey, everybody, let's hate black people. But what you're doing is you're encouraging those thoughts in other people. You're saying, like, hell, Hitler. Very few people are offended in those audience, I'm sure. It's mostly people who hear about it later, and then, because we're not going to go to those shows to see that. Why would we go to be abused like that? We're already abused when we go to any gay club anyway, when they don't pay attention to us, when they won't serve us, when they, like, turn us away because they haven't seen us. Anyway, I'm not doing this. But yeah.
No, and I understand that too, and I was the same way. I was the weird gay dude in town, you know. I was ousted from my own gay community. But we do use these costumes. I mean, it's not like we wear these costumes and not do anything with them. They're always reflective of the number. They always are, and we're never applauding it. In fact, we're making them look stupid.
You have such damn potential. I just really wish you would go in a direction that it wasn't so easy. It's not hard to be like, these people hate Hitler. People hate Hitler. Everyone fucking hates it. Go on, move on to yourself.
Well, do you know when those shows were done? I mean, these are 3-year-old. This was a phase.
Okay, so you're not
So you don't plan to do it in the future. You don't plan to use anything that has to do with racist iconography.
Like Nazis and swastikas and things like that. Like you said it was.
But when you're wearing a Nazi costume and you're performing a Disney number and you're bringing up, you know, the very true ideas that Walt Disney was involved with Nazism.
Okay, that's one thing.
When you're doing the song Because I'm a Blonde, which is this ditzy 80s song referencing how blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls get away. It's basically there's a line in it, get away with murder, and you put that into Nazi iconic uniforms. It's not like just these blatant uses of imagery that we're not telling a story.
Oh yeah, and I totally understand that. I think that context is really important. Like just like you said context is really important. I didn't know that it was a Disney song.
Right.
But also, you know that you've been criticized for race, or maybe not then, but you know that you've been criticized for race at this point. So for you to do it now basically means that you don't give a shit. That's what that means. It's context, darling. Like, because people are saying we are hurt by different racist things you've done, and then you dress in a Nazi uniform. Put it in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand. It sounds like it's a very transgressive piece. I think maybe.
Well, that's why it's best to know everything about it, not just rely on these Tumblrs devoted to just screenshots, you know?
Okay, but you too, though. Like, now you can't do that anymore. Do you understand? Like, it's different. The context is different. For just any white drag queen to get up there and do that, I would probably love that show. But for a white drag queen who I know has had a history of being accused of racism, and who has a history of saying it doesn't matter and she doesn't have to apologize for anything and she doesn't care, yes, I would be very like, this person obviously is not just, there's more layers to this. They're not just trying to criticize this. They're also saying, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Well, I'm personally apologizing to you.
I don't want to apologize. I don't want to apologize. I don't care. I'm not like, I'm not hurt. I was hurt at first. I'm not hurt anymore. What I want is from other people not to have to do that, like not to have to always see that every time they come into a gay club, not to have to see the people that they look up to disregard their feelings and their oppression. Like, I mean, there are plenty of ways that you can challenge race, and I know you can. I actually, against my better judgment, have faith in you. I think that you could be very transgressive and very awesome. But I just think it's going to have to be a decision on your part to listen to people who are saying that you're oppressing them. And not just hurting, not just hurt feelings. We're talking about institutional oppressions that we live every day that happen in so many different small ways too. Like microaggressions when you talk with people of color or white people rather, and you say things about automatically the only thing you can relate to is their skin color or their dick size, which is the only most of the interactions I have with white guys in gay clubs. The first thing they say to me is, "Oh hey girl," when I know they weren't talking like Wendy Williams before I came up, and then I come up and they do that, and then they say something about black cock, and that's generally how that goes. It's just like, I know that's not the worst that it gets. Yes, it's not the worst that it gets. But when I come to a gay club, I'm like, this is my place. This is finally, I'm not going to be walking around. People aren't going to wonder why my hips move like that. People aren't going to say, this is finally I'm in a safe place. And then the first person I talked to said something like that. It's like, is there no safe space? Do I have to only be around people of color? Why can't it be with just queers and not have them perpetuate racism? Why? Why is it so hard?
Right. I mean, I guess that's what my shows really were always intended to seem like was more like a bizarre invitation to other people, and just to, there's a reason why drag is done in bars, and there's a reason why it's done at midnight, and there's a reason why we do it while we're drinking. It's because it's a celebratory time, and I've always just tried to mock the things that scared the shit out of me when I was younger. I always just tried to create, I almost just kind of wanted to laugh at the shit that was scaring the shit out of me.
And I see that you're always evolving and you're always changing too, and I really hope you evolve past the things that you see may not have worked.
Right, and that's very true. And I'm the first person to admit, I dip my toes in a lot of things. I'm always testing how things go. And yeah, you're right, things do work and things don't work. But I hope throughout this whole process of me, always changing my show, always changing my look, now Sharon's dead. She wasn't always dead. She used to be a hooker. That I'm always just trying to create an environment where everyone's social anxieties we can just kind of poke fun at them for a night over a drink, and I know that it's not always gonna work for everyone, and I guess my favorite artist never worked for everyone, but I'm definitely taking what you're saying into extreme consideration, because you seem like a really intelligent person, and I hope you trust the fact that I'm not a monster, and that my goal was never to make people feel excluded, but almost for us all to just laugh at all our differences. Because we're all kind of in this boat together, and we're all getting ragged on all the fucking time.
Besides your intentions and besides your kind of personal apologies to Annika, can you say something clearly about your plan for the future?
That'd be good, yeah. I'd like that. Your plan for maybe how you'll handle, where you're going to go from this conversation on, as far as what you'll change about your acts, and you already said you're going to change your language, but what you'll change about your
acts? Well, my acts are, if you've been following my tour or any of my...
Not since I saw you in blackface, I stopped at that point pretty much. But.
Yeah, but these are this was the House of Haunt days. We were the punk drag house in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. The other drag queens wouldn't take us. All the pretty girls downtown wouldn't take us. So we started our own scene.
Right. I'm sorry. I said something clear. So not another story, but maybe something.
No, I have nothing to say.
Okay. And you're not using the N-word and issuing a public apology about that.
But you're not going to decide.
I'm not going to answer anything definitive.
Oh.
Especially when it's a little, sounds slightly attacking.
All right. So that's how it goes. Okay.
So I know you have this history with, you feel that you've been personally attacked recently, and I didn't mean to attack you. I didn't mean to cut off your story that way. But did I hear you right that you were taking back what you said earlier about language and the apology around the N-word?
Because you did say that earlier. You did say that you guys were going to write.
Well, I think you've asked about 3 times if he's apologized for saying the N-word, and I think he said it 2 or 3 times.
That's not
He's
what we're
apologized
asking.
here,
Yeah.
but I mean apologizing publicly with a commitment to not
and when
use
that
it.
happens, it would be on my own terms.
The reporters are all.
I know, but saying the words Sharon apologized on her own terms. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've read. No, I'm not negative. But it sounds like it's not. If you were really, if I feel like, okay, for me to feel like you're actually retaining any of this, I really would need to see why. I don't understand why. If you say it just now that you understand that it has hurt people and that you don't want to do that, I don't understand why you wouldn't just say sorry publicly. Why would that hurt you?
No, it would just be on my terms, I guess. Or it would be, yeah, I'm not going to make a press statement about that. I'm a clown. So, but,
All right, well,
yeah, but I don't,
we heard what we need to take care of.
I don't
We'll
mind.
see you all night, right? You ready?
I'm ready.
Take care.
Have a good night, guys.
Nice to meet y'all. Can you hang out for just a second?
Absolutely.
See if I can try and wrap this up a little bit.
That was just a little too preachy for my taste. I kind of had to take a step back.
Do you think that did you apologize? May I ask that?
I apologized if I personally hurt their feelings. Seeing people hurt, I don't know, almost makes me sick to my stomach.
Okay.
Do I know that I get over 1,000 letters a day from youngsters who are very aware of the way I conduct my art, and people of all races and all sexual orientations that remind me every day that I'm doing really good things in this world, because I don't ever go home. I tour every single night. I'm like just actually exhausted to the point where, you know, just almost in tears, that it's just good to know that I can just open my P.O. box and know that I'm not going to make everyone happy, but that I have altered and changed a lot of young people's lives. So
Cool. And do you think that the people accusing you of transphobia and racism, is that
it's always taken out of context, or it's always taken out of fabricated things. But you know what? I never let the press know when it was fake or if it was real, because it doesn't matter. We're going to believe what they want. And,
do you think that goes along with the persona that everyone was rooting for on Drag Race? Like, do you think that's an extension of
that everyone was what?
that everyone was rooting for on Drag Race? Like, do you think that this was just a continuation of exactly what to expect? For example, I wrote yesterday, I was like, people bought into the say anything you want, fuck it all attitude, and you know, now maybe they didn't know how far it would go. Do you think it goes along just smoothly with exactly everything you've always put out there?
Yeah, I've never hidden anything. I think real racism hides in the filthiest of places, and I'm in a fucking spotlight. I take some of the darkest shit in this world and I put it right in the spotlight for everyone to gawk at. I just try to remind everyone that we still live in a temperamental climate in terms of race, religion, gender, and creed. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to be the clown that made everyone laugh at our own social anxieties. And I mean, it doesn't work for everyone. Unfortunately, the few times I've had to talk about this, because this gets a lot of press, and I understand you're the press, so you have to talk about the most sensational thing there is. We're not going to talk about the 300 pre-sale tickets. We're not going to talk about the kids that I've literally taken the fucking razor blade out of their hand. But they're going to sensationalize the 1%. And I can hear it's just like at home. These 4 kids, and it's never a dialogue. It's always me being literally barked at until I am succumb to my knees to say whatever the fuck it is they want me to say. So that's why I'm not going to say it. You're not going to bark at me to say something that I'm not even sure about. I'm not sure about anything.
Will you stop using the N-word though, as you?
Oh yeah, and that's really not. I mean, the word means freaking. I think language only has the power that we give it, and but it's just a war I don't want to fight anymore. So.
What do you want to say to the protesters who are going to maybe be outside? I don't know if they'll still show up or not. If more.
I mean, my intention is never to hurt anyone, and I know that my work isn't for everyone, and I mean, this type of work has been done for 30 years by such great artists that when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the button pusher and the person that I wanted to be the drag queen that made people think, not just some pretty chick doing a pop song. And if anyone's hurt, then I'm sorry. But I won't be barked at to apologize. I won't be forced into a statement. And I know my contemporaries feel the same, and I'm not here to please everybody. They're saying that I'm taking away any dialogue about any change. Well, what the fuck do you just call that? It sounded like dialogue to me. And I know no matter what I say, it'll be fine. You could just tell in the tone of their voices that this is already decided. I couldn't understand why I kept laughing. Nothing was funny. That's just when you know things are attacking. When they're just laughing and demanding sentences,
Did you
words.
feel like it was more confrontational than dialogue?
Absolutely, but I can't let them see that. I have to fucking be a goddamn. I have to trust what I do.
Were you prepared for the backlash, maybe? Or did you expect it or not know that it would? I mean, pushing buttons sometimes does cause backlash.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Sure. You want to be famous your whole life, and the second you get it, you don't even know why you wanted it anymore.